guys, welcome back to my channel. I have another video for you guys today. This time we are talking all about the disappearance of Elaine Park. Now, Elaine went missing on January 28th of 2017, almost a year ago, after leaving the home of her ex-boyfriend. She was 20 years old at the time of her disappearance and would now be 21. She is Korean American, weighs approximately 125 pounds, and stands at 5 foot 6 inches. If you at any time during this video realize you might know something about this case or have any tips, I will have a number you can contact down below in the description box. So Elaine grew up in Glendale, California. She did live on and off with her mom. Her and her mom didn't have the greatest relationship, but she had sort of a hot and cold relationship with her mother. She didn't hate her, but they didn't always get along. They did butt heads quite often. Another person in her life that she actually had a hot and cold relationship with was actually her on and off again boyfriend. His name was Div. He was basically the son of a very, very prominent and wealthy businessman in the area. So technically Elaine went missing very, very early in the morning, but 5, 6, 7 hours before that she was actually with Div. They were at his family home and they decided that they wanted to go see a movie. So they Ubered over there and they were actually caught on the house kind of surveillance cameras coming back around 1 a.m. Their body language looked very, very casual, not like they had been fighting or anything like that, but they definitely weren't like lovey-dovey. I think it was just a true on and off again sort of relationship. They seemed pretty casual, but they also did not seem like they were drugged or inebriated or anything like that, because there were also some suspicions that maybe he had drugged her. And basically when I tell you guys the next little situation here, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But they looked completely normal and fine when they came back at 1 a.m. So let's get into the trickier part of the night. 4 a.m. came by. I guess that they had just gone in and maybe they were fooling around, maybe they were sleeping, I don't really know. But Elaine kind of jumped up and she started basically having a panic attack. And I believe what happened was she was kind of shaking. She might have been like rubbing her arm, because usually when people are having panic attacks, they want to feel safe. So sometimes people will talk to themselves or they'll sing. And I believe she was also singing, and he just thought that was kind of strange. But again, it's a panic attack. When you're choking or when you're having a panic attack, you want to run away from other people and you want to self-soothe. So fast forward to 2 hours later, this is where things start to get a little tricky. I've seen a lot of videos where people give exact timestamps, but for me, the information that I found is not exact. So I told you guys that their family had surveillance cameras. Well, it just so happens that when Elaine was leaving the house at 6 a.m., when she got into her car, you could see her, but then the camera started to glitch when she was actually driving out. Now they had this little gate, and then you have to go all the way down the street, and then you have to go through the front gate, because this is kind of like a gated community. Sort of like a long road with a bunch of big houses, a little bit of a cul-de-sac, maybe like a little dead end, and then you come around this way. So I think what happened is around 6 a.m. I believe that she came out and she looked really, really good. She looked pretty normal. It didn't seem like she was having her panic attack anymore. She also, again, it didn't seem like she was drugged or inebriated. So I know a lot of people were saying, oh, maybe he drugged her, maybe he did something to her. She looked honestly totally fine. She got into the car and she waited in there for a few minutes. Now, some people thought this was maybe a little suspicious, but I know me, every time I get into the car, I sit there and I play on my phone, or I text my friends, or I call someone. Now it was very, very early in the morning, so I'm sure she wasn't calling anybody, but she could have just been playing on her phone. So then as she was sitting in the car, that's when the camera glitched a little bit. Now it was proven that this was because of the time change. I don't know if this happened to all of the cameras. I thought that was kind of weird, because I think it jumped ahead an hour or something like that. Basically, they saw the car going out the first little gate to their home and then down the road. Now, when that happened, there was another car that was sort of in the cul-de-sac. Nobody was ever able to find who this was or whose car this was. I believe it was a black car, and some people said it was there, some people said it wasn't there. In the surveillance footage, you could see that there was some sort of a car outside there. Now, because of the glitch with the camera, some people were saying that maybe something happened and that wasn't her driving off, because we couldn't actually see if it was Elaine or not. So it could have technically been anybody if there was something going on in that house. I mean, if there was something going on with someone who came up to the cul-de-sac, came in through the gate, you never really know. So that is the last time that we supposedly saw her. Again, we don't know if that was her driving off, but a lot of people do think it was her. 5 days later, on February 2nd, 2017, along the Pacific coast in Malibu, California, they actually found Elaine's car. And the strangest thing about this was that she had her laptop and her little makeup bag and all her cash and all of her belongings in her car. It didn't seem like there was a struggle. It literally seemed like somebody had been in her car and they got out, or she was in her car and she got out. And they did a huge search. They went and looked around the cliff area because a lot of people unfortunately do commit suicide in that area. And I will talk about the theories in a minute here because some people do believe that she committed suicide because what kind of perp wouldn't take like the cash and the stuff in the car? So unfortunately, this case has started to go a little cold. I know that Elaine's mother has had some difficulty with the police officers that she was working with, or just the force that she was working with. She didn't feel like they were very cooperative, and especially looking into the boyfriend, there wasn't a lot done there. And you know, I'm not one to go and point fingers because I think it's very, very wrong to go and point fingers at anybody and say, hey, you did this or hey, you did that without proof. But I do think there could have been a little more research and digging and questioning going on, because I almost feel like his family as well as Div himself was kind of let off very easily, almost like things were swept under the rug. There were a lot of unanswered questions, you know, what happened with the security cameras, and the police force said that they were nothing but cooperative, but there are just some really, really weird details. So now I think we should go ahead and get into the theories. I feel like there's a couple of theories that I hear about. The first one being the drug-related suicide theory. A lot of people were saying that because Elaine was a little slightly more depressed than usual, but she had recently lost her job. Now, this wasn't something that was absolutely horrible for her. She was also an actress and she did like acting and things like that, and I think very easily, because of how ambitious she was and because, you know, she was so charismatic, she probably could have found another job quite easily. But her mom did say that she started to use drugs around this time. I personally do not think that she was drugged this night. When we saw the security camera footage, she looked normal, as well as you know, her ex-boyfriend looked incredibly normal. They didn't look inebriated. When she was leaving, she looked normal. I just don't really think that's the case. I think that maybe she had a panic attack because maybe she was thinking about something else, or maybe something happened behind closed doors that we don't know about. Maybe there was a conversation or something happened. But for me personally, I do not think that it was drug related and that she committed suicide. People were saying because her car had all of her belongings in it, you know, what kind of perp is going to leave behind cash and stuff like that? Well, maybe someone who wants it to look like it's a suicide. So for me, I personally do not believe that. I'm actually kind of going more so with the theory that there was something going on with the boyfriend. And again, I am not one of those people that likes to point fingers, and I don't want to say, oh, it's him, because we absolutely don't know that. But I think he should have been questioned a little further, and I think that whole family should have been questioned a little further. Just because they're being cooperative and giving you, you know, the receipts, or giving you the actual video camera footage, but there's 2 hours missing, like, it doesn't mean that they're being cooperative. It's just like it's almost like they're covering their asses, possibly. But again, I would never, ever, ever throw that accusation out there. That can ruin people's lives by accusing them of doing something. So that's not where I'm going with this. I'm just saying, if there is one possibility that I'm strongly looking at, it could be that they didn't dig deep enough when it comes to that, and maybe it wasn't the son. You know, it could have been somebody else in the family. I feel like something went on in that house. And then finally, the last little theory that I want to talk about is that this is also a possibility. Somebody kind of abducted her. You know, yes, this was a really, really bougie kind of neighborhood, but a lot of people swore that they saw that car there. You know, it just so happened that the security camera footage was kind of cut. Somebody could have grabbed her and forced themselves into the car with her. And maybe they have her somewhere, you know, and they haven't found any remains. You know, this has just been a really, really sad case, and I know that her mother has been pushing so hard to keep this case alive, and I really hope by sharing this on my channel, at least some of you can, you know, keep your eye out, you know, especially if you live in California, if you live in that area, you know, it's always good to be aware of things like this. So anyway, guys, that is the missing case. I really feel badly about this one. I just think she was such a beautiful young lady. I mean, I didn't even know her, but just looking at her photos, I could tell she was very charismatic. And, you know, I don't get those vibes that she would go and jump off the cliff. I think there is something else that has gone on with this case, but unfortunately, it gets colder and colder by the day. And, you know, they can't really go and dig things up now because we're too far in, and it's pretty disappointing. So anyway, that is pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys later.